Sorry it took me forever to get to your reading. Life has been busy. I'm sure you understand. So, right now we're at the third quarter moon in Sagittarius. In 5 days, on the 9th, we're going to be in the new moon in Aquarius, right? Which is dope during Aquarius season. The moon in Aquarius, sun in Aquarius. Very auspicious. So let's see what this energy means for you and what you can expect, what you don't see coming, all kinds of things. Let's dive into it. Tall whites, uncertainty, distrust, and guarded. So, alright. Okay, this is kind of the energy of somebody who's kind of looking at all perspectives or on a situation, kind of listening to their intuition about it. Let's dive a little bit deeper and see what this means. What you're feeling so guarded about or uncertain about. See if we can get you some clarity today. Oh, shit. The entire deck was trying to go. Okay. So this is kind of funny. And the funniest part is you see the masculine and feminine energies in this card. Well, the energies that are coming out right now are the masculine and feminine. We've got the King of Swords with the Queen of Swords in reverse. So take it as it resonates. You could literally be either one of these. But I'm feeling like you're more the King of Swords, more in that masculine energy. Whether you're male, female, whatever, that doesn't matter. The energy of masculine and feminine is that the masculine is the active, the feminine is the being, right? So one is the feminine would be more creative, spiritual, kind of like in their own world in la la land, and the feminine or in the masculine is going to be more like down to business, really focused on like the material realm and how to navigate that shit. Strong leadership, right? With the King of Swords, I'm seeing that there's definitely a guardedness about you. Like you're just fully ready to cut shit off when you feel uncomfortable or when you're out of your depths. But I feel like it's because like your peace is so valuable to you, right? Like it took you a lot to get there, and it's like the first hint of like doubt or confusion, you're like, whoa, buddy, yeah, I gotta pull my sword out. I feel you. It's a trauma response, actually. So with the Queen of Swords in reverse, though, it's like somebody is kind of showing up not guarded, right? Kind of more on the vulnerable side. Somebody's showing up like open and receptive and not so quick to cut you off. They're showing up kind of in that opposite energy, which you would usually see in more of the feminine, I guess, which totally makes sense because the feminine, their strengths lie in vulnerability, right? And whereas the masculine, their strengths lie in rigidity, I guess is the best way to put that. Like, and we all have masculine and feminine within us, right? It's not about gender roles. just how it is. When a woman goes into her masculine, it's like that's when she's going to be the most guarded. She's going to be very, like, cutthroat, very straightforward. When a man is in his feminine, it's like that's when he's going to be more vulnerable and communicative and compassionate. So, yes. What I'm seeing with the Seven of Wands is you're really looking at the opportunities at hand. You're really weighing out your pros and cons, really thinking something through. And I think, honestly, that's dope. You should never, like, jump into anything if you feel doubt or confusion or you're not certain about it. Bottom line. Because to me, certainty is everything, especially in connections. It's like, how do I word this? It just feels to me that, like, if you're feeling doubts or confusion, either one, you're not prepared for, this kind of connection, or two, you really just want to make sure that you're certain before you, like, attempt to go towards that. Okay, so what's your advice? I feel like you're very mature, you're really taking a very mature approach. Yeah, with the Nine of Pentacles, your advice at this time is to really focus on, like, your work, focus on your personal development, your self-care, the things that you can do for yourself, right? And honestly, that's my answer to everything, to be honest. When in doubt, take care of yourself, When in doubt, go have a day where you just spoil yourself, or, like, one thing that I love to do for me, because I am a huge practitioner of self-love, self-care, self-doting. Okay, like, my best relationship ever has been my own relationship to myself. And that's because, like, when you learn how to love yourself, then you learn the kind of love that you're willing to accept, right? Then you learn the kind of you set a standard, like, if ain't nobody gonna love you more than you love you, then, like, or at least match that energy, then, like, what's the point? You're getting better from yourself, so, to me, I feel that anytime you're looking to go into a relationship or a connection, you should really ask yourself, like, does spending time with this person add something to my life, right? Like, is it fruitful? Do I feel, like, how do I feel in their presence? How do I feel when I speak to them? Do I feel heard and seen and understood? And, also, like, take into mind, that, like, sometimes people are awkward and they don't know how to respond to you. So it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not listening. It means that they're fucking nervous, So take that into account as well. Yeah, because with the Devil in reverse, Capricorn energy, I feel like you've released a lot of toxicity in your life. Like, you've released toxic relationships, you've released things that did not work out for you, right? Things that didn't fit. And with the Four of Wands in reverse, this could be a marriage, like, you could still be working through a lot that has to do with, like, a previous commitment, or marriage. You know, it looks like you separated. And with the Magician in reverse, I feel like this, like, other person just kind of, like, hit you out of left field. Like, you weren't necessarily, like, trying to manifest it, but it showed up because it matched your vibration, or you became a vibrational, match, if that makes sense, like, compatible. Your energies became compatible, which doesn't necessarily mean that you're the same energy. It means you have compatible energies. And I did a video on this actually before. Maybe I'll link that below because I feel like that's important. But yeah, so when there's compatible energies, on the not healthy side of this, you'll see that opposites attract, right? So an empath might be attracted to a narcissist, for example, because they're compatible energies. Like, the narcissist feeds off of the empathy of the empath because they lack empathy, whereas the empath has this incessant need for, like, comforting others and healing and fixing and, you know, those kinds of things. So then they're drawn to the narcissist because they're like, oh, this person needs comfort, they need love, they need blah 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 blah. And then, so they're compatible energies, even though they're not necessarily good for each other. They're compatible for each other, if that makes sense. In the same way that, like, with a magnet, you can have, like, a negative and positive side, and they gravitate to each other, right? They're like, boom, together, right? Unwaveringly. And so, but if you try to do, like, negative and negative, or positive and positive, then they repel each other. So, the best thing you can do is understand where you're at, right? When you understand where you're at emotionally, spiritually, mentally, whatever, that will help you understand why you're attracting certain people, or why you're attracted to certain people, and like, if that's healthy for you, right? On the healthy side of, you know, compatible attraction would be the masculine feminine, right? And because the feminine is kind of, like, out there, right? They're gonna, like, you know, they're gonna be the ones that are daydreaming all day, painting pictures, just fucking, you know, like, in La La Land. They're gonna be out there, like, and they're the ones that are like, oh yeah, everything can be absolutely perfect all the time because I'm gonna make it so, right? I'm gonna plant flowers. I'm gonna know that the flowers are growing. You know, it's like they're very on that level, right? Whereas the masculine is very logical, and they, like, they don't let their emotions run the show, right? They let their mind kind of run the show. And whereas, like, a feminine is more gonna let their emotions run the show because that's where their strengths lie. So, when you have, like, a healthy connection between the masculine and feminine, like I said, not talking about genders. I've seen same-sex couples that also have the feminine-masculine dynamic. You know, just making that clear. I don't believe that it's a gender thing at all. I don't believe masculinity and femininity has anything to do with that. I feel like that's a different thing. Okay, it's your energy. It's like who you are. I know so many male artists who are tough guys, right? They're like, you know, they can, you know, they have a solid balance between their masculine and feminine, and, you know, so take it as it resonates. Basically, what I'm seeing here, though, is there's, like, a feminine that is kind of, like, in touch with their emotions, and they're not allowing themselves to be hardened or whatever. They're just very open to vulnerability, and the masculine is a little bit more withdrawn, right? And when these energies do come together, though, it's like the masculine lends the feminine logic, I guess, groundedness, stability, organization, those kinds of things. They help the feminine to just kind of like be balanced, right? Not necessarily that they lacked balance before, but like, it's the yin and the yang, okay? That's the best way they balance each other out in a lot of ways because they help bring that feminine to a sense of feeling stable and grounded and at ease. And also, a healthy masculine is going to like set a tone so that the feminine could be emotionally vulnerable and feel safe in that, right? They become like a safe zone for that. Whereas the feminine has always presented like emotional safety, right? The divine feminine is very like comforting in that way. They like, and this is also how they benefit the masculine, right? How their energies become compatible as opposites because then they're able to like help the masculine not feel so rigid, right? They're able to get in touch with their emotions. They're able to be more vulnerable. They're able to kind of think outside of the box, and maybe like let go of some preconceived notions of, how things are or whatever. And so I feel that, like at any point in your life, where you're at emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, it will be reflected in who you attract. Because even empaths have a level of toxicity because they become emotionally codependent, not intentionally, obviously. However, they just feel like such a pull to that masculine energy, and so, or to that narcissistic energy. Sorry, I was thinking feminine, masculine, but talking empath and narcissist. So it's like, they want to heal that broken creature. They want to show them empathy and compassion because they've never had it before. But the thing is, when people seriously lack empathy, it doesn't matter how much you show them, they'll never get it, right? It's like trying to teach the blind about colors, it's like, good luck, go explain pink to a blind person, it's like, that's the same as trying to explain empathy to somebody who suffers with narcissism, sociopathy, psychopathy, this disorder. So it's honestly, better not to, in my opinion. So anyway, it was a big rant. Felt important though. So, understanding why you're attracting certain people and understanding, like also, if you notice that you're attracting a lot of emotionally unavailable people, it could be that you're a little too emotionally available, right? And I hate saying that because I detest the idea that anybody could be too emotionally available because I myself think that like that emotional vulnerability is a strength. That's a feminine in me. That's like, I think that's where people bond. That's where we find our closeness. It's like, however, in a world where people have been so beaten down by being emotionally available, it's like there has to be a level of, you're where you're so emotionally available that you come off as desperate or needy or clingy or whatever, and that can be off-putting, right? Um, so there's like a level to it where you have to also like recognize like you can take care of yourself. You have you're independent, you're able. So when people are too emotionally available, it comes off that way. And you may be feeling like, well, I did all this work on myself. I did. It doesn't matter. That's how you're going to come off if you are too loving or too caring. I literally had a conversation with somebody about this earlier, because he was like, dude, people just aren't, emotionally available or whatever. And I was like, well, here's the thing. Something I've noticed is that, like, men grow up being told constantly that it is your job to provide and protect, right? And so they typically find an attraction towards, people who they feel need protected or provided for, right? These people typically are more on the toxic side of things, right? These are very emotionally codependent people, right? These are people who have, probably gone through a lot of abuse in their life, who have anxious attachment styles, people who are very possessive and jealous and, those kinds of things. Because the man has been told this his whole fucking life. He's like, well, obviously I have to be with this person because then it fills my need, right? Because it's so programmed. It's not a real need to protect and provide for somebody. It's just a programming, right? It's just a brainwashing. Because when two healthy people come together, it's not from the need of needing to protect and provide for one another. It's when two strong, independent individuals who can take care of themselves, who have demonstrated they can take care of themselves, they come together, that is when real magic happens, right? That's where you find a bond, like a genuine connection or a genuine bond that transcends money, that transcends, like all that shit, all that surface level shit, all the protecting and providing, all the needing to be doted on financially or you're responsible for your own fucking emotional state. We're all responsible for our own emotional state. We're all responsible for our own financial burdens. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, what? Well, it's true, actually. And I'm saying this as a single mom who works 50 hours a week and does this and, whatever. And door dashes for extra gas cash. So as somebody who has had to be fiercely independent my whole fucking life, I see it this way. When you know how to take care of yourself emotionally, financially, you no longer want somebody who's going to take care of you financially. You don't want somebody who's going to take care of your mental illness or somebody who's going to baby you for the rest of your fucking life. When you reach that point, you want somebody who is a companion. You want somebody that you can go to fucking Guatemala with and have a great time. You want somebody that you can connect with and build memories with and feel companionship with. That is way fucking different than the dynamics that I see on social media where people are like, oh, he needs to be able to buy my hair and nails. Dude, ain't nobody buying my hair and nails except me. And some days it ain't happening, okay? And am I gonna die? No, I'm fine. And that's not to say that you shouldn't dote over your partner if that's what you choose to do. Dote. However, love bombing is toxic, right? Paying somebody to care for you is toxic, and that's one reason that, like, me as a person, like, anytime I have entered into connections, I show up and I'm like, look, I'm totally fine with splitting bills, I'm totally fine with, like, showing that it's 50-50 up in this bitch, like, and also, that has been my downfall, and a lot of times, just saying, because when you don't have those emotional codependencies, or you're not seeking, that kind of dynamic, it's a lot harder to find somebody on your level, right? Somebody who understands that you're not there to get something from them. You're there because you want to grow with them, right? Because you want, an actual thing that is not rooted in this, like, fucking skin deep concept, And, yeah, anyway, I'm going on a whole fucking tangent. Yeah, we've got the Fool in reverse, and this is really telling me, because this is Uranus energy, and it's really telling me that, don't do anything too impulsive. Like, really think things through. Really be certain of your actions, of your decisions that you make. Don't just, like, jump into things, especially, and I feel like I did another video. I think it was my last video, actually. Like, when your emotions are heightened, don't make stupid decisions. Like, make a decision when you've had time to think it through and really decide, is this what's right for me? Is this the direction I want to go? Is this something I want to pursue? And do that when you're feeling level-headed, when you're not feeling lonely and sad, when you're not feeling, like, manic either, right? When you're too fucking happy or having too good of a day, that's also, you're gonna make bad decisions, okay? like you need to be at a moment where you're not feeling super emotional or whatever, where you can sit down and reflect and just be like, here's the facts. Based on the facts, how do I feel about it, right? Lay out a pros and cons board if you got to, right? The red flag, green flags. Make sure that you're choosing with your best judgment, right? With your most educated judgment, right? Learn about, the person or situation that you were pursuing or that you think about pursuing. Reflect. And I'm not saying stop them, but, like, look at their behaviors, their patterns, their mindset. Look at those things, One thing I heard that I completely agree with is you don't really know somebody until you see them not get what they want, right? And I know that's a hard one, right? Because when you care about somebody, you want to give them what they want. However, if you withhold that, if you withhold something that they want, see how they react to it. See who's really under there, because some people are not that chill when they don't get what they want, and I feel like it'll tell you so much about their character, it'll tell you so much about their intentions, it's like, it's just very revealing. So yeah. We have Justice in reverse. there's a lot of reflection happening on some negative things that you have experienced or gone through, things that you feel were not fair, the things that you feel could have played out differently, right? There's a lot of focus on that, and I think that's great. There should be reflection, right? When we reflect on these things, we can get to the root of these things. It's like I often tell people, if you have a wound, right? Like imagine you get punctured with an arrow, for example, right? And you break it off and you're like, oh shit, there's blood everywhere. And instead of cleaning it or whatever, you just put a bandage on it. And you're like, okay, we're good to go. There's a bandage, it'll stop the bleeding, we're good. You go about your day, and then it starts bleeding through the bandage. But instead of taking off the bandage, just get another bandage, right? And you just wrap it right over that. And say you keep doing this, and then you start feeling this like throbbing pain in the wound, right? You feel like a lot of discomfort. You feel like your leg's gonna fall off. You're like, what the fuck is going on in there, right? And it's because you've been suppressing it, right? You've been just covering it up, not wanting to look at it. You have not seen the damage, right? You just covered it up, and you're just like, okay, cool. I bottled it all up. It's fine. And then you've got this festering wound under there, right? And so when you finally take the bandages off and you look at it and you realize, oh shit, this is so much fucking worse than it had to be if I would have just dealt with it the right way the first time, right? And this is a personal experience lesson for you because there's so many times I could have done things the right way and I didn't. So, you know, especially in regards to healing, I have been one of those people who've been very like, oh, I feel an uncomfortable feeling, time to put it in a bottle and never look at it again, you know? And that's something I've had to work on, you know, with, you know, doing, like mirror work and stuff like that. Really, like when you feel triggered by a person or a situation and you really understand that it's coming from you, right? There's some unresolved thing inside that's causing that. Well, back to my analogy. When you finally look at the wound, and it's festering, and it's all green and pussy, and it's a million times worse than it had to be in the first place, what do? Well, what I would do, because I don't believe in going to hospitals over a leg wound, a flesh wound, what I would do is I would take a salt bath, right? I would pour salt water all up in this. I'd clean it out. I would, you know, I'd lay in the salt, let it just drain the shit, you know, whatever. I would, it just needs to be immersed, right? It needs to be cleaned out. It needs to be covered in salt, whatever the fuck. And salt, to me, is like one of the most healing things. It's very antibacterial. It literally pulls infections out. It's great, okay? It's great stuff. Salt baths are good, even if you don't have a physical wound. They help detox your skin, helps, you know, whatever. It's great. Might dry out your hair a bit, so put your hair up if you got that. Yeah, so, you know, you want to, like, clean it out with salt. Then, when you get out of being immersed in this and letting all that come out, then you grab your witch hazel, right? And you just spray that bitch up all over everything, right? It's another, like, antibacterial, antifungal, you know, thing. You just clean that bitch out, right? You put that all, and then you get a nice salve, you know, something with like beeswax in it. I feel like every salve I have that has beeswax, like the healing time is just so much faster than like if you got Neosporin or whatever. Also, this is a witch part of me talking, right? So like, I like to make my own salves, whatever. You do you, however you do you. But then, you know, you put your salve on, then you bandage it. And you know what you do? The next day, you take it off, you do the process again. And you do the process again until it's healed up enough that you don't need a bandage, right? You don't need to cover it up. You don't need to hide it because it's better now. It doesn't hurt so much. You're able to, operate well, and, and then by the end of it, yeah, you're going to have a scar. Something that permanently marks you, like you're not necessarily going to be exactly the same as before that, right? But that's okay, because that's character development, right? That's what builds you, what grows you. And you learn to be okay with that. We got to do the same thing with emotional wounds, right? The things that suck the most, the things that are the hardest to confront, when we shed light on them, right? When we literally give ourselves, like when I was suffering through one of the biggest heartbreaks of my life, one thing I did was I started sitting with it. I was like, this feeling fucking sucks. So what do? I put on my sad music, I lay there and I feel it and I think about it and I feel it, and I give myself a moment to just go through that, to just feel it, to really confront what's going on, why I was so injured by the experience. I let myself have that, right? This is part of healing the inner child too, because my inner emo kid comes out where I'm just like, it's happening in my room, whatever. Sometimes you need to do this, right? And so you sit with it. And if you sit with it and say you do this every day, like say if after work you need an hour to sit and just do this, right? This is more healing to me than meditation. In a way, it kind of is meditation because it causes you to sit with it, to be present with it, to be aware of it, to confront it. And if every day you sit with it and you let yourself feel it, but you don't hold on to it, right? As soon as you're out of that, as soon as you go on with the rest of your day or the rest of your life, you push it to the back of your head. You're like, okay, I'm not going to dwell. I give myself a safe space to feel it, to have it, all that. And then what you'll notice is, the first week it's going to fucking suck. It's going to be the hardest week of your life. And then the next week, it's a lot easier. And then you'll notice that the music starts getting happier. You'll notice that you no longer need to take that time to sit with the wounds, right? Like you're like, okay, I think it's a scar now because I'm not feeling so emotionally pent up. I'm not feeling like it's a huge weight in my chest, right? Because with the moon in reverse Pisces energy, I feel this energy that there's just something that you struggle to sit with, to shed light on. And to me, or to confront, to me, I feel that a huge part of the healing process is to sit with it, to let it be a real thing for you, right? To let that healing process be very real, and to not try to numb it or distract yourself from it, right? To not go out socializing and partying, or I think the biggest break I ever took from bars was when I was going through my hardest emotional states, because I prefer that to be fun. Okay, I prefer that to be a fun experience. I don't want it associated with sadness. And so, yeah, and there has to be a time where you're also gentle with yourself, where you are forgiving of yourself and able to talk to yourself like you're your own best friend. I don't insult myself, right? I refuse. I won't do it. And one of the reasons why is because I have so many friends that I love, right? And when they say negative things about themselves to me, Like, it breaks my fucking heart, and I'm like, how dare you say that about my friend? I would never let another person say that about you. Why am I gonna sit here and let you say that about you? I'm about to slap you. Like, what? Shut up. You know? Because, yeah, and so after that, I realized, like, my own self-talk mattered, you know? I'm like, if I feel that way about them, and, you know, I love myself, then I'm going to treat me like somebody I love. I'm going to treat myself with respect. Self-respect isn't just, like, being modest. It's not just, like, you know, whatever idea society has for it. Self-respect is literally respecting yourself. It's not speaking ill of yourself. It's, you know, being patient with yourself. It's being honoring yourself, you know? It's like, honestly, and being true to yourself in those ways. I feel that people who say negative things about themselves really lack self-respect, and they don't even understand it. They could be the most modest person in the world, but they're not respecting themselves if they're able to say those things about themselves, right? And so self-respect it goes a lot deeper than the superficial version of it that we've been told our whole lives, you know? I didn't even need cards for your reading, bro. I feel like I've been barely reading the cards. This happens every now and then, or I'm just like, alright. Like, the messages they're just pouring through. Okay, it's just, I feel very connected to this message. With the Sun card, Leo energy, I do see inevitably you having a breakthrough, right? And feeling happy, abundant, shedding light on yourself, and, you know, feeling confident again. So I do see it inevitably coming in like full circle for you. I feel that your guardedness with this Queen of Swords in reverse too, it's kind of good, you know, because you're not allowing yourself to fall into the same pattern as before of just leaping into a thing, or just letting your emotions run the show, or letting your ding-a-ling run the show, you know. It's like, you're like, no, right now I'm being logical, I'm thinking things through, you know, that kind of stuff. So yes, let's see, let's look at the Kali cards. I just feel that there's so much growth and healing happening right now, and any kind of distraction away from that is not going to let you fix what's going on the inside, you know? No matter, like, how attractive it is, you know, it's like, if you are distracting from pain, then you're not facing it, you know? And that could have a lot to do with, like, even, like, substance abuse, or, I mean, however, like, even social media, sometimes you definitely need a break from social media and those kinds of things to just sit with your feelings and reflect and really let yourself heal. The healing process is a lot fucking faster if you sit with it. Okay, it's a lot faster, it's a lot more effective. You know, if you give yourself the space every day, and eventually, it's like if you're being told the same joke every day, you know, you might laugh the first time, but inevitably over time, it's not going to be funny to you anymore, right? Same thing goes with your pain, right? Like, if you sit with it, you might cry the first few times. You might cry for a while, right? However deep this wound is, you might cry for a while. You might go through some shit. You might, you know, you got to go through all the stages of it. And you might go through some serious, like, this is shadow work, you know? And, like, shit, shadow work to me is so fucking important. I'm not just a light worker, I'm a shadow worker, right? I work all of it. And shadow work is my specialty, I feel. And I feel too that like doing this work, if every day you're consistent with it, and you really sit with yourself, you give yourself that space, you take yourself on dates, you treat yourself the way you want a partner to treat you, right? You talk to yourself the way you want a partner to talk to you. Then the healing is so much more rapid and it's so much more thorough, and then it makes you actually prepared for something good when good comes, And it's like I always say, it's like you can't mess up what's meant for you, if they can't be patient and, or, if they're just quick to jump ship because they're like, oh, I didn't get what I wanted immediately, so da-da-da-da-da, or, whatever the case, then they're not for you. Bottom line, I feel that, like, those who are, that which is meant for you is meant for you, inevitably. In the right time, right place, whatever. They'll show up, and kind of trigger this healing in you. Bhubaneswari. She is the rising sun, marking the ending of darkness and the replenishment of life force after illness or devastation. She creates a clean slate and a fresh start. She protects and preserves that which is worthy of the heart. She shines in a perpetual state of divine beauty and radiance, attracting to us most supportive and honoring circumstances. Baba Tarini. When momentum is building and you don't know how to stop fueling the fire or reverse the damage, Kali brings grace and freedom from negative patterning and stubborn mindsets resistant to change. Now is a powerful time for spiritual work and healing practices. She will support the work, and much growth can come from it. The storm shall be gentled, and you shall emerge unharmed. This was a fucking good reading, guys, for how little cards I even used for this. I just feel that, your healing journey is a fucking big one. There's a lot that you're working through, and if no one else says it, I'm proud of you. Alright? I'm proud of you for making good decisions. I'm proud of you for honoring your intuition and honoring your state of mind. I'm proud of you for recognizing, too, your own patterns and wanting to break those cycles. You are on the path of ascension. You're transcending the bullshit, right? This is beautiful fucking energy, and I admire it. I think, honestly, more people should follow this kind of practice where, if they're not ready, they're not jumping, if they don't feel right about something, they're not leaping, or if they're reluctant or hesitant, they get to the bottom of it. Sometimes it could be just being nervous, but obviously you have some things to work through. You've got some healing to do. You've got, how do you build trust? How do you put the guard down? How do you do all that? Well, first, you work on the inside, right? For me, trust was one of the hardest fucking things ever. Ever. It was so hard. And it's funny, because it wasn't until after I got divorced and after I had been through the ringer and when I started this self-love journey, I started trusting myself, right? I started trusting my own judgment. When you trust your own judgment, especially in regards to your connections and stuff, you trust your partner, right? When you decide to enter into a partnership, you trust them. Um, and one thing I have noticed since that, because I have tried dating, a couple times since my marriage went down the toilet. But one thing I did notice is when you trust your partner, and you trust them, and you respect them, and you show up correctly, right? You show up from like a real, authentic part of yourself. They never give you a reason not to trust them, right? They actually give you more reason to trust them. They show up in ways that you did not expect or anticipate because you're making decisions with your highest judgment, right? You're choosing the kind of partnerships that are trustworthy, right? That do like give you that sense of feeling safe and comforted and stable. And yeah, sometimes you'll have like the best relationships that are just not meant to last, right? And that doesn't mean anyone's a bad guy. It means that it was not meant to last. It wasn't meant to be. Sometimes you'll have connections that are meant to help heal you along your journey, and that's fine. Um, and and sometimes it can be disheartening too, because you look at it like you want that to be lasting. Nobody goes into a relationship thinking, oh yeah, I want like this to last 2 weeks, it'll be fine. Like you usually your best intention for the connection is to make it work, right? And when you're with somebody who is also very mature and very grown and stuff, like I don't have many stories where I can tell you that men have betrayed me or been the worst or the most horrible. Like, if I'm being honest, like, the last few dudes I dated have been absolutely amazing. Like, and they helped me grow, and they helped me, understand what it's like to be in a healthy connection, to be supported and cared for in those ways. And I absolutely respect and care for them forever, right? Like, we may not talk anymore, we might not, but that's not because there's no respect or whatever. It's because we respect that, our season is over, right? We respect that. And and I think that's dope. And I think that's also something that we don't talk about a lot, that you can have healthy connections that just don't fucking last, right? Because you're too yin yin or too yang yang, like, and it happens. And there doesn't always need to be a bad guy in a breakup, right? There doesn't always need to be some tumultuous reason that it didn't work out. Sometimes it could be like, you know what? I feel like this connection served its purpose. Bada bing. So, and I don't know, also when you understand that energy is eternal, right? It can't be created nor destroyed, it's just recycled. You also come to understand that you yourself as a soul, right, have been through how many fucking partners since the dawning of time, right? And all those soul connections, right? In 14 billion fucking years, right? All those connections you've made along the way. All the energy you've danced with, right? You're gonna reconnect with it in different ways, right? And that's why some people feel so comfortable or familiar or whatever. It's like, but I feel too that a part of the healing journey is to honor the purpose of your connections. I strongly feel that, like, when you're healed, even when you go into connections that don't work, it doesn't necessarily mean they don't work because of toxicity, right? Or red flags. Sometimes it doesn't work because it doesn't fucking work. And that's fine. But anyway, this is what I have for you. Namaste. I love you guys, and I will see you later.